What up, people? Welcome to another installment of Mike Steff's Wrestlemania Memories. This episode, we will cover Wrestlemania 19 as the WWF. Actually, guess what? This is the first Wrestlemania not under the WWF moniker. No. This is the first WrestleMania under the new title of World Wrestling Entertainment due to them losing a lawsuit with the World Wildlife Federation. Well, the World Wildlife Fund. I have 3 matches that I'm going to concentrate on. WrestleMania 19 was March 2003, emanating from Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington. They termed it as a triple main event, a quadruple main event, if you will. But in reality, these are the 3 matches. The last match on the card, which was Brock Lesnar trying to regain his WWE Undisputed Championship, which was disputed because guess what? It just was. We had split the championships up to the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship held by Triple H. Like, what would a championship be if it wasn't held by Triple H? But either way, here or there. Brock Lesnar was facing the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, in the last match of the card. Then we had the 3rd installment of the Stone Cold versus The Rock series at WrestleMania, in which, in reality, this was Stone Cold's unofficial retirement match. Nobody knew at the time. And the last match I will be talking about is the return of the Heartbreak Kid to the WrestleMania stage after a 5-year sabbatical. Well, at least from WrestleMania. To go against Chris Jericho in a match that was long awaited, and I do say so myself, it did hold up the standards. Where should I begin? There's a lot of backstory with these 3 matches. This is why I chose these 3 matches. Also on the card, you had Hulk Hogan against Vince McMahon, or Mr. McMahon. You had the Cruiserweight Championship with Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy, but not just the Hardy Boys Matt Hardy. No. V1 version 1 Matt Hardy. If you live for the moment, I'm gonna defeat. Yeah. So, I guess I should begin with Stone Cold versus The Rock. The backstory here, not only was The Rock trying to avenge his previous 2 losses at WrestleMania, no, it goes deeper than that. Remember at the end of last episode, I was telling you about The Rock, the fans were turning against The Rock. The Rock was pretty much transitioning into a part-timer, and that allowed Hulk Hogan to be the dastardly dude that he is and pretty much get the crowd to back him and allow him to manipulate himself into getting another championship run. But yeah, The Rock pretty much was part-timer. He left after 18. He came back that spring due to the exit of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Something that nobody would have thought would happen, but the seeds have started being laid. Remember when I was talking about the Bite This theories, where Stone Cold was complaining or letting it be known that he didn't like the creative process going on? Remember when I was talking about that? Yeah. So I want to say in June, Stone Cold was scheduled to be in the King of the Ring tournament, which on the surface is like, really? You got Stone Cold in qualifying matches for the King of the Ring tournament? That's number one. Like, he's been there, done that. Like, why would he want to be King of the Ring anymore? Not only that, they had him scheduled to face the rookie monster who debuted after WrestleMania 18, the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. Unannounced. Brock Lesnar had been going on a tear, and Stone Cold's like, whoa. You're going to have me on a random Monday Night Raw go against the rookie monster, Brock Lesnar, in a qualifying match? I'm supposed to be the last man he goes against, not the first. You're not going to use me to set me up. But this had been a continuation of his frustration with his booking at the turn of the year. So, as WWE termed it, he took his ball and he went home. Stone Cold was like, F this. I don't need y'all. Y'all need me. Y'all not going to diminish me and then cast me aside. And he's since admitted that he handled that wrong. But at the same time, listen, he did what he did. He had to deal with the repercussions and so forth. So, Stone Cold left. And then they started a smear campaign against Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had this show called WWE Confidential. They used to come on late Saturday night. And they had an expose about all the bad things about Stone Cold Steve Austin. How Stone Cold didn't give a rat's ass about the fans. How Stone Cold left the company high and dry. A company that made him the man who he had become to be. Not only that, they got The Rock to, I wouldn't say cut short a commitment, but find extra time to come back to the company to put dirt on the name of Stone Cold Steve Austin in his passionate promo, where he told Stone Cold to be just like the old WWF and get the F out. If you don't want to be here, we only want people here that want to be here. And I'm like, wow. So, to be continued. So Stone Cold was away July, August, September, October, November, December, January. And we started hearing whispers in February that Stone Cold might be making his return to the WWE. They came up with this storyline that he was ready to come back, and they set up a match between him and Eric Bischoff, who had joined WWE at the time as a general manager. And supposedly Stone Cold wanted his revenge from years ago when Eric Bischoff fired him from WCW, and also a way to get his feet wet and to re-ingratiate himself with the fans. Thing is, I don't think the fans ever really held it against Stone Cold Steve Austin. They didn't lean into the propaganda. Also, this also began a metamorphosis for The Rock. The Rock came back due to the absence of Stone Cold Steve Austin and won his 7th WWE Championship in the triple threat match that many at the time held it as a classic between The Undertaker and Kurt Angle. But he was there to transition the championship to the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. So it was Brock versus Rock at SummerSlam 2002 in Long Island. And guess what? In that match, Brock Lesnar was decidedly the crowd favorite, while The Rock, everybody know, he was just there, not for a good time, not for a long time, just a time. They booed him with such venom. And mind you, he's a baby's face at the time. But the coup de grace to all this was during the Raw 10th anniversary in January 2003, in which he couldn't even be bothered to show up in person, even though he had been advertised. And he showed up via satellite when he was supposed to be live, but it was on tape, and everybody booed the hell out of him. So when he came back for the WrestleMania season, he came back with this fantastic character, Hollywood Rock. His Titantron was different. His mannerisms were different. He pretty much leaned into the fact of, yes, he's a big star in Hollywood, and he's doing the fans a favor. But the one thing that he needed, that his ego needed to be complete, the one thing he had never done that he needed to do before he left for Hollywood for good, was to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin on the grandest stage of all. He said the one thing that he learned about Hollywood, when it comes to movies, when it comes to acting, nobody cares about Act 1 or Act 2. They only remember Act 3. The finale, the precipice, the peak. They only remember that, and that's what he wanted. So that led up to this match. And it was, technically, it was okay match. It was nowhere near the WrestleMania 17 match with the intensity. But at the same time, you had Stone Cold pretty much coming off a 8 to 9 month layoff, and you had The Rock, who was there, and you know he was still in shape, but you could tell by his physique he wasn't in wrestling shape. He was in acting shape. So it was more story than match. Was it better than WrestleMania 15? Perhaps. But like I said, little did we know that it ended up being Stone Cold's retirement match. Stone Cold had some health problems at the time. Nobody knew going into that match how compromised he was just to get through that match. And that was one of those wake-up signs of, okay, guess what? You know what? My body's telling me no, but my mind telling me yes. I'm not going to say who that's from. If y'all know. If y'all don't, figure it out. And The Rock was victorious. Nobody thought The Rock was actually going to win, but The Rock was victorious. The Rock got his hand raised because supposedly The Rock was needed to put off Goldberg. Goldberg arrival was imminent, and yeah, The Rock was staying, Stone Cold was leaving, so therefore The Rock had to win. Stone Cold left, but he didn't leave the spotlight. He just left the ring. He never said why at the time. He just came back as an authority figure, a sheriff, if you will, a co-general manager. So to me, that was the main event. In the actual main event, we had Brock Lesnar, who had a historic rise up the ranks. He debuted in March of 2002. He was King of the Ring by June of 2002, and he was he was undisputed champion by August 2002. Managed by Paul Heyman, who made his return after the ill-fated invasion angle. Now the backstory here was just as serious, if not more serious. Kurt Angle, who famously won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck, literally went into this match with a broken neck. He had injured his neck at the No Way Out event, and everybody, including him, thought that he was not going to be available for WrestleMania. So they had a match on SmackDown in which everybody expected Kurt Angle to drop the title to Brock Lesnar before WrestleMania. By smoke and mirrors, Kurt Angle retained, and everybody scratching their head like, whoa, huh, what, are they working this? Is his neck not bad? Pretty much it was one of those okie dokes where at the time Kurt Angle's brother, Eric Angle, came in under the guise of being Kurt Angle, got pinned, but they did the switcheroo, and that allowed Kurt Angle to remain unscathed and actually retain the championship. What happened behind the scenes was Kurt Angle did not want to give up his long-awaited WrestleMania main event. He figured if he was going to go out, he's going to go out on the sword. He's going to go out on top. And he was going to give the fans, and he was going to give himself what he felt like he richly deserves. And he was going to put over Brock Lesnar the correct way, the right way. And this match was a classic. Especially with everybody knowing how jacked up Kurt Angle's neck was. It was a classic. Now, this match is memorable for one thing. Brock Lesnar almost breaking his neck during the match, at the end of the match, when he tried a shooting star press, which is amazing for somebody his stature, his weight, his size, the vanilla gorilla. He had done it before, but he had never done it on the grand stage of WrestleMania. He had never done it after wrestling 25 minutes against Kurt Angle. So when he tried, he came up awfully short. And not only did he come up awfully short, as I'm looking to see, do they have any? Oh, no. Looking at my favorite fruit stand. He landed directly on his head. Kurt Angle improvised and guided Brock. Brock was concussed, put him on 2 F5s, and won the match. And both of them backstage, we came to find out, were in bad shape. Brock Lesnar had a concussion, as you would think, but he's lucky he didn't have a broken neck due to his strong trapezius muscles. And Kurt Angle health was greatly compromised due to the fact that he went into shock due to the damage on his neck. So that was a classic. It seemed like this was the WrestleMania in which everybody was physically compromised, going in, coming in, or going out. It's almost like they were grasping at straws to try to figure out how they were going to put this WrestleMania together. Which leads us to the last match. And I know this is kind of long for my usual WrestleMania memories, but like I said, there's a lot of backstory in these matches. Shawn Michaels had not been on a WrestleMania stage, had not wrestled in a WrestleMania ring since WrestleMania 14, March 1998. He made his triumphant return, SummerSlam 2000, which was only supposed to be a one-off. It's only supposed to be a one-off against his best friend Triple H in a blood feud. And after he wrestled, it was supposed to be, okay, you know what? I got through that. Maybe I'll do a spot here, a spot there, a spot there. He returned at Survivor Series in the first Elimination Chamber match. And he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H. And then he returned the following month at Armageddon 2002 in a 3 Stages of Hell match. Regular match, cage match, ladder match. Once again, everybody's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, was his back really injured for all those years? He's coming back in all these gimmick matches? Like, what's going on here? All right? Well, come on, you duh. Like, go around me, you stupid twat. Anyway, like I was saying, as I do this U-turn, because I see a parking space that I will not be denied. Yes. I swear, that's one of the hidden gems of Mike Stuff's WrestleMania memories, is the fact that y'all see me in my driving glory. Anyway, now let me wrap this up. So, Shawn Michaels came back. He lost the championship at Armageddon. He entered the Royal Rumble, but got attacked by Chris Jericho. And that's where the Jericho-Michaels feud, the first salvo in that, happened. And Chris Jericho, his backstory was, well, you know, Shawn Michaels was his childhood hero. He emulated himself after Shawn Michaels, and it would be nothing. He would take all the pleasure on putting his childhood hero out of his misery. And tell you the truth, I looked at both. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a good match. And it was a good match. But anybody thought that Shawn Michaels was actually going to lose his WrestleMania return? Even though Jericho, at the time, or at least you thought at the time, had more upside going forward. Little did we know that Shawn Michaels was going to wrestle for another 7 years. He was not going to retire until WrestleMania 26 against The Undertaker, which we'll get to probably another week or so. The way I go with the bodies. There's not much to say about that match. Like I said, it was a classic. There was one last match that was controversial in its nature because of actually what's going on today in WWF. Triple H was the World Heavyweight Champion. His opponent for WrestleMania was Booker T. In the lead up, the promos that was given was the fact that Triple H said people like Booker T didn't deserve to become champion. People like Booker T emanate pretty much trying to say black people don't become champion. Black people don't deserve the good things. Black people need to stay in their place. So you would think with this backstory that, of course, the triumphant thing to do would be to make sure that Booker T proved Triple H wrong. Well, this is WWE we're talking about. I can count the amount of WWE champions, black champions, on one hand. Kofi Kingston, Bobby Lashley, The Rock. And The Rock proclaims himself more Samoan than black. So yeah, that's 3. Oh, Big E. Can't forget Big E. That's 4. Booker T was never WWE champion. He was a 5-time WCW champion. He was a 1-time World Heavyweight champion. But he was never WWE champion. It's something that people point back to, including myself, on when things happen in the WWE concerning the non-upliftment of minorities having championship aspirations, having championship situations, having championship goals achieved in the Federation. This is what we look back on. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be quote unquote just storyline, but sometimes storylines are truer than they appear, or truer than they seem. So, yeah. And that's it. That's it for this installment of Mike Steph's WrestleMania Memories. On tap next will be the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania 20, with a main event, a triple threat main event that I don't know how I'm going to talk about, because it involves a murderer. It involves someone who has been erased from the annals of history. It involves someone who I don't even speak their name, but they had a big part in this WrestleMania. Some would say and call him a crippler. Some would call him a rabid Wolverine. Others would say he's a cold-blooded murderer. But like I said, I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to tackle this without really glorifying this dude. So, with all that being said, 3:30. My New York Knicks, Captain Brunson, Captain Clutch, is about to put in work in the Garden. I'm about to put in work at the JOB. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next episode. Goodbye.